स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So, in the last class, we were studying the section of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, the 5th chapter, where we found that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is instructing Arjuna in the signs of happiness, the signs of joy, the signs of bliss. That's the common thing which we all want in this life. Invariably, whatever our professions may be, whatever my faith may be, whatever denominations may be, if there is a common goal, there is the only common goal we all have. That we all want to be happy, we don't want suffering. Whether God is, whether heaven is, all those things are secondary. The primary thing the human want is joy and bliss. The idea of God, the idea of heaven is all associated with the idea of bliss. If bliss is not there, who wants God? I want God because He is the eternal source of bliss. In the dualistic religion, the idea of heaven is also the same thing. I want happiness. No one wants suffering. That's a basic need of life. But we don't know the art of having that bliss in our life. And Sri Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita, we found in the last class, is pointing to the pertinent fact that bliss is something which comes from within. We are constantly mistaken with the idea the bliss comes from outside. That I am a limited being and the source of happiness is in the nature. The external world is there, lurking there, just to fulfill me with all the resource it has. Constantly, either it is through our wealth or through our relations or through our name and fame, we want to achieve something thinking that that will give us happiness. And we find we are again in the same place. The life becomes a bundle of misery, dissatisfaction, in spite of the fact that all the things we wanted, we got. But still there is no satisfaction. Because we don't know the basic thing behind happiness. We are being fooled. And that's the ignorance. What is the ignorance? That actually I am the real source of happiness. I am Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. What it speaks of? These three terms are not something as an attribute to the ultimate reality. The Vedanta again and again says the ultimate reality is beyond all attributes. I cannot add any adjective to it. So when I say it is Sat Chit Ananda, then immediately we may say the Vedanta is contradicting itself. It says it is beyond attributes, and then again it is saying it is Sat Chit Ananda, as if these three are the attributes of the ultimate reality. No. These three are actually the negation of the idea of limited individuality that we have. What's this three speaks of? The Sat Swarupata. That we have an idea that I am a limited being, I was born at a certain point of time, I am going to die. No one can escape death, that I am going to die. The moment I was born, my death was something which is already been fixed. The only certainty in this life, are full of uncertainties. I don't know what's going to happen to me in future. It's full of uncertainties. But one thing is certain. In this world, there's a word of Swami Vivekananda in one of the lines in Complete Works, it is there. In this world of uncertainties, there's only one thing which is certain, that is death. It is there. So I was born, I'm going to die, and not only that, as long as I live, I'm going through constant transformation. In the scriptures, even in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter we studied, they speak of 6 transformations which we go through in this life. What are they? Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nasti. Jayate, we were born. Asti, we exist, we will be continuing with this life for some time. And as long as we exist at the beginning, vardhate, we will be growing. As an infant, we see just every 2 months, 3 months, as a small child, most probably you haven't seen him for a few months. And then suddenly you see, oh, he has grown. The growth is so fast for the child. So that's the time when the growth is happening. Vardhate. And then we find that the middle age comes. He's the same person. There is no change as if for years together. But the transformation is gradually happening. That's called viparinamate. This gradual transform. No more growth. It's transforming. And then apakshiyate. After a certain time, the decay process starts. Apakshiyate. And then nasti. A time comes when you are no more there. There's a physical body, you are no more there. So that's the idea of my limited individuality. That I was born at a certain point of time, I'm going to die at a certain point of time, and as long as I live, I'm going through these 6 types of changes. By saying that the ultimate reality is Sat, the scripture is saying that this idea of your limited individuality, which has birth at a certain point of time, which is going to die at a certain point of time, and which is in constant process of transformation, is negated. As we told, these 3 are the negation of the idea of limited individuality. So by saying that you are Sat Swarupa, what is the definition of Sat in the scriptures, in our Vedantic scripture? Trikal avadhita satya. One whose existence is not interrupted by any phase of time, past, present, future. Trikal, avadhita. Avadhita means uninterrupted. Trikal, these 3 phases of time, past, present, future. In all the phases of time, it was, it is, it will be. And that too without any transformation. That's why the ultimate reality is called the Purana Purusha. The word Purana in Sanskrit means Pura Api Navaiva. Pura Api means it is ever aging but never old. Same, just the same. It is in the eternal present. If you find the mystics of all the religions, when they go to the realization, they speak the same language. This word eternal present is the word of a very, very well-known Christian mystic, Meister Eckhart. When he went to that realization, he's saying the essence of our being is in eternal present. What a wonderful word, eternal present. No past, no future. I'm in the eternal present. The question of time comes whenever there's a transformation. If there is no transformation, you are in the eternal present. So that Purana Purusha is the Sat Swarupa. And then again the idea may come, yeah, it's correct. In one form or other, we do exist. The consciousness is most probably a conglomeration of matter. It accidentally it has evolved. Life has evolved. Basically, it is all inert. The world, this entire planets, galaxies, where you find life. So the original form of life is inert. It is inert matter. Somehow, because of some biological conditions, some environmental conditions, made life feasible on this earth. It's an accident. So here we find a strong assertion of the scripture. No, what you're seeing as the inert object is not inert. The entire creation is permeated with consciousness. In fact, consciousness alone is the substratum behind the entire existence. The consciousness is appearing as inert matter. It is because of the limitation of our perception, our vision. Nothing is inert. Everything is consciousness. So the ultimate reality is the consciousness and consciousness alone, and that too is indestructible. That's the fundamental principle of life. After saying that, now even if we are convinced with the idea that I am Sat Swarup, I am Chit Swarup, but then again I find myself in despair. What the despair? That, oh, I am a being who is in the turmoil, in the flow. As per the external circumstances, now I am in the crest of ecstasy, and the next moment I am in the trough, in the depression, in the trough of sorrow, abject misery, dejection. I am like a wave, I am just traveling like a wave. Sometimes the nature throws me to the ecstasy, and then again it forces me to depression, and I am helpless. What's the use of this type of consciousness? That where I have as if no control over myself. The nature is throwing me to ecstasy, and the next moment it is again taking me down to the abject misery. As I am a helpless creature in the hand of the nature. Then again the scripture says, no, this all is because of the ignorance. You are the ineffable bliss, the bliss which is never interrupted by any sort of misery, any sort of want, any sort of dissatisfaction. It is the eternal, ineffable bliss. Is the bliss the attribute? No. Because it is the nature, it is just the nature. Means bliss is actually the absence of misery, absence of sorrow. And that's your real state of existence. It's not the titillation of the nerves when we get because of some contact of the sense organs with the sensual objects. That's not the bliss. The real bliss is the absence of any sort of dissatisfaction, sorrow, misery, dissatisfaction. It is a state where your mind is at calm, tranquil state. So there is a difference between sukha and shanti. The sukha speaks of the pleasures of life, which comes with the sense contact of the sense objects. But shanti is that ineffable, that tranquility, calmness, which is something beyond the so-called the duality of joy and sorrow in life. That's your real nature. Now, why, if I am of the nature of that eternal bliss, why don't I realize it? So here we find that in the last class we ended with that example, that Swami Vivekananda in Raja Yoga is giving that example, that our mind is like a lake, and our real nature is as if like the substratum, the base of that lake, the bottom. And when the lake is now full of waves, what are the waves? They're the thought waves. The lake is actually our mind, and the base of the bottom of the lake is our real nature, Satchidananda Swarupa. And all the waves in the lake are like our thoughts and desires. They're constantly arising in your mind. You will find when the water is turbulent, you cannot see the bottom of the lake. You can see the bottom of the lake only when the water is calm and transparent. Now, our mind is constantly having thousands of thoughts and desires. It's always in waves. And then suddenly I develop an intense desire for something. The child is always distracted, and it is affecting his studies. He is not getting good grades, and the father keeps a condition that if you get good grades, certain grades, he says that if you have these good grades in your exam, I will just give you this latest brand, some laptop which you desire. And now what happens? The mind was full of thousands of waves. Now I'm playing video games, now going and just have chit-chatting with the friends, having some socializing with the friends, having fun, games, so many things. Now the child has the intense desire for the laptop. So all these small desires are engulfed by a huge wave. What's that? I want that laptop. So it restricts itself. you will find there is some sort of control in the life. So when you have a passion for a big thing, the other passions falls off. So some sort of control is coming because I want that laptop. And as he is concentrating now, as we find he is concentrating now himself, he automatically gets good grades in his exams, and father, as per the condition, gifts him, as a gift, gives him the laptop which he desired. And he is extremely happy, tremendous joy. And this child thinks, by getting this laptop, I have this happiness. But what actually has happened? There was so many thousands of waves in the mind, distractions, socializing, video games, thousands of things. They all were engulfed by one wave. I want the laptop. And now when he gets the laptop, for the time being, there is no wave in the mind. There's a let go. The mind is calm. The only desire which has engulfed all other desires, that also has been satisfied. For the time being, the mind is calm. And Swamiji is saying that the waves of the mind are the filtration factor for the bliss, not Sat and Chit Swarupata. That I am always aware I am. I never forget my existence. I am. So Sat Swarupata, Chit Swarupata, they never get filtrated by the waves of the mind. But what gets filtrated is the bliss. The moment the mind is calm, the bliss which was obscured, now that permeates to your body, mind, senses. It is coming from within. It is welling up from within. But here comes the ignorance. What is the ignorance? Oh, that object gave me happiness. This laptop gave me happiness. And that's what is happening constantly in our life. Again and again. One desire is fulfilled, we go for the next desire. You will find there is no end to the desire. There is that first, when a person gets a job as a young person, oh, a small house is sufficient for me. And then after a few times you'll find, oh no, I need a bigger. You'll find never that what you think is sufficient for you today, the moment you get it, you will find, no, it's not sufficient. I think more. There is no end to it. It goes on. Why? Because we think that the happiness is something in getting something. And that's the ignorance. That is avidya. Avidya results in kama, desire. This ignorance results in kama. That what is the ignorance? That the happiness is something within me. I do not have to chase after the external materials of the world. It is something within me. The ajnana is this. From that arises kama, the desires. And to fulfill the desires, you have to act upon it, isn't it? So karma. I have to act, to have to do some actions, do some work to fulfill my desires. So this Shankaracharya is saying has kept us within the bounds of this worldly existence. What? The cycle of avidya, kama, karma. So Vedanta has all these technical terms. But once you understand, you will find this very simple thing they are speaking. When I hear avidya, kama, karma, I think what it is actually speaking of. It is as simple as that. This avidya, this ignorance, that belief is something within. The moment I am ignorant about it, the desire arises. I try to grab it, constantly reaching out. Incessant, that search is going on. And from that, the actions are evolving. This creates samskaras. These samskaras again takes me to the next actions, form of action. And this goes on life after life. So once we get settled in the inner core of our being, without allowing the mind to be distracted by the external pleasures of life, you are in that ineffable bliss, the bliss which no one can take away from you, because that is my nature. That's the thing which we have described in the last class, and that's the idea with which we will proceed with the succeeding slokas today. The 22nd sloka, what it is speaking? 22nd sloka of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yehi sangsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. Yehi sangsparshaja bhoga. All the pleasures which comes from sangsparsha. The sangsparsha means touch. The eyes are touching the objects of vision. The ears are touching the sound. Nose are touching the smell. The tongue is touching the taste. And the skin, the touch itself. So all these five senses are in sangsparsha, constantly in touch with the sense objects. So these are called sangsparshaja bhoga. In Sanskrit, whenever you find any word is ending with ja, not all, it means born of. Like pankaja, the lotus is called pankaja. Why? Panka means mud. So lotus is always grown from the mud. So whenever you use the word ja, it means born from. So here sangsparshaja means any pleasure which is born from touch, sangsparsha. So that is sangsparshaja bhoga. So all these pleasures, dukkha yonaya. The cause, all this sangsparshaja, this all the bhoga which comes from the contact is going to result in dukkha. The same principle of Buddhism here. Dukkha, if we say suffering, again we will do a big mistake. That dukkha means dissatisfaction. There's a difference between dissatisfaction and suffering. Both are not same. If I say that when you are enjoying a delicacy, I ask, are you suffering? You will say, no, I'm enjoying. I'm not suffering. But if I ask, are you satisfied? Immediately a big question mark is in your mind. No. When I'm enjoying, I have already developed a craving for the second serve, isn't it? So if you translate dukkha as suffering, it will be a big mistake. It actually means dissatisfaction. So this dukkha, this never satisfaction comes from this sangsparsaja bhoga. Why? The second line speaks, adi anta vanta kaunteya. Adyanta vanta kaunteya. This sandhi. Adi plus anta becomes adyanta vanta. Adyanta vanta. Adi anta vanta. They have a beginning and they have an end. Adi is the beginning, anta is the end. Then constantly, this is a flow. Any sangsparshaja bhoga, it has a beginning, it has an end. It is not going to give you incessant happiness. But we forget that our memory, as we told, it is a working of the nature, the trick of the nature. That all our enjoyments, sangsparshaja bhoga, all the enjoyments which comes from the sense contact has a beginning and an end. But we forget that it has an end. We always remember the ecstasy in the beginning. And we go after it, chase after it again and again, again and again, again and again. So that, even sometimes you will find this Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. That's one song is there. That I can't get any satisfaction because I try and I try and I try again. It's a very simple thing. The basic fact of life. You go on trying, you never get satisfaction. Because then my memory gets filtered. I know that it is going to end, but I forget that again I tried. In the words of Ramakrishna, that's our condition. That's our memory is so myopic. It's short-sighted. It's Ramakrishna very plainly is saying. What he's saying? That the camel feeds on thorny bushes. It likes the thorny bush. It feeds. But it is not something which is all pleasurable. It feeds on the thorny bushes and it starts bleeding. Its throat starts bleeding. But it never remembers the bleeding. It knows the taste. It always remembers the taste. The bleeding it forgets. So what it does? It thrives on thorny bushes. It eats. It bleeds. Again it goes and it goes on, continue eating the thorny bushes. And that's what is our condition. We never realize the nature of this happiness which is born out of the sense contact, which is so limited. We find that when Swami Sharadananda, these are the things which we say again and again, Sharadananda, for the first time he went to America. He was not prepared for giving any lecture. Swami Vivekananda called him. He wanted that the message of Vedanta which he has started spreading, that should continue. So he needed some other teachers. So he knew that all his brother disciples, they were all spiritually realized souls. They were all living and seclusion, life in seclusion. But somehow they have to be brought to the limelight. The world should see that what life they are leading, that what ideal they are following. Now, when Swamiji called Swami Sharadananda, he was not prepared. But as Swamiji called, they had such a tremendous love for the Guru Bhai, he came to the States. And for the first time when Swamiji was delivering lecture, he knew if he asks Swami Sharadananda to deliver lecture, he immediately will recoil. He won't. He told, you have called me, I have came, but those things are not for me. So now Swamiji was finding it very hard to somehow convince him to come and stand in the dais and deliver lecture. So one day, what he did, after the lecture, suddenly he stopped the lecture. He gave a very short lecture. There was a lot of, most probably the time allotted for the lecture was 1.5 hours. In half an hour, he stopped his lecture and suddenly he declared, Swami Sharadananda today is here. He will just address you. And he was really very much tensed. He was not prepared. But now he has already announced what to do. He came. And he started giving lecture, and it was a nice lecture. After all, they're all realized souls. What's coming from their within is all their own realization. Wonderful lecture he gave. People were really silent. They were appreciating this wonderful lecture. And now, after this lecture, there was a question-answer session. Now, Sharadananda thought that Swamiji will take. So he was about to go and take his seat. And Swamiji told again that today question-answer session also will be just conducted by Swami Sharadananda. So he felt a bit nervous. But now as Swamiji has already declared what to do, so he again came and stand on this podium, behind the podium. And the questions, there were many questions. 2 questions were very interesting. Someone asked, what is life? Now just see, this man of realization, they're wonderful. All the answers come from their realization. And the answer which he gave is so universal. You may belong to any faith, any denomination, you cannot deny what a wonderful answer it is. What is told? What is life? He thought a little and told, life is nothing but a chain of experiences. What a wonderful answer, isn't it? As we grow old, we find, just look back, one after another, we were planning so many things. But did really life took turn? This life really happened as per our plannings? Nothing. So many things we plan, but at last we find life has its own way and we go through the chain of experiences. We are going through one after other experiences. And the questioner, he really appreciated what wonderfully you have said. And then in the next question he asked, but what's the aim of this life? Just to go through his experiences. And then that answer, again a wonderful answer, which transcends all idea of faith, denomination, everything. It's universal to all. What a wonderful answer he gave. To learn from those experiences. Nothing else. We don't learn. We are like that camel thriving on the thorny bushes. We bleed. Again we go for that. We never realize that it after all is going to entail suffering, that dissatisfaction alone. So to learn from those experiences. So that's the thing. Swami Sharadananda. What a wonderful answer. Just see. It's a very commonsensical answer. That's why Swami Vivekananda in one of the lectures he told that to be a spiritually realized soul, you don't need a genius. You don't need a person of high IQ. You don't need tremendous intelligence. What you need is common sense, just common sense. With all our intelligence, you see throughout the world what is happening. At last, the common sense is not there. You just see the fight in Israel-Palestine. Is at last, if you go to the origin, it is based on some myths. Your idea of God, your concept of God on which you are fighting. And now you have, with all your intelligence, you have developed so much technology with all this sophisticated warfare machine. But after all, you are at last fighting with some myths. for some myth, nothing else. Which shows what? You have intelligence but no common sense. The tremendous world, the politics, everywhere you see, what we lack is common sense. We are the idiots, the biggest idiots of the world. And that's what's, for a spiritual person, he is the one who has that highest common sense. What's that common sense? This basic idea. There's this basic idea that there is no such satisfaction in the sensate pleasures of life. Ever running, there's the words of Swamiji, ever running, never reaching, nor a distant glimpse of shore. It's that the hedonistic treadmill. In the treadmill, you run in the same place, not proceeding anywhere. That's what is the chase for the pleasures of the life, and that's what has been spoken of here. This yahi sangsparsha jal hoga, dukkha yona evate. Swami Vivekananda in Complete Verse gives a wonderful example. That's what's our condition like? That we are in this cycle of avidya kama karma. This rotating, gone, revolving in this life cycle of avidya kama karma. From ignorance, the desire comes, from that, the work. What's this cycle like? He's giving a wonderful example. He says, in the olden days in the village, the ox will be grinding the oil. The ox will be fixed to some, there's this one stone is placed over the other stone, and the upper stone with some log is fixed to the neck of the ox. And the ox has to go on revolving. All the oil seeds are kept between the two stones, and as the upper stone revolves on the top of the lower stone, all the seed oil gets grinded, and that's how you get the oil. Now, how to make the ox go on revolving? So, the villagers, they found a very easy way. What they used to do, they will tie one stick between the two horns. One stick they will tie in the head of the ox, and in the front of the stick they will hang some straw. And now the ox is in constant chase for that straw. It thinks, I have to get the straw. It moves, and the straw is at the same distance. It is never coming near him. But the ox goes on moving, and the straw is also moving. It's also moving. And Swamiji is saying our condition is like that ox. We all think we are intelligent. With all our degrees, that tail is there, all your degrees. But after all, you are ox. We are all ox. With all those desires like the straw in front of you. The Mother Nature is making us go round and round. That getting the oil as if out of us totally, means you are totally exhausted, drained. He's churning us. The nature is churning us by befooling us with that straw. That's going on. Swamiji's words are very powerful. He says we are all like mustached babes. We have grown up. We have mustache, but still we are babes. Why? The babies, when they cry, the mother will give something to suckle on, and it's quiet for some time. And that's what is happening with us. We cry. Nature gives something to suckle. We are quiet for some time. Again we cry. Again it gives. And that's what is going on incessantly. To come out of it, to have the real knowledge of yourself. And that's the thing which here also Bhagavan is very, very bluntly, directly pointing to the eyes of Arjuna. That know it for certain, there cannot be any pleasure from all the chase after these desires for the worldly pleasures. There cannot be. It is going to at last end in dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction result to abject misery. So then what he's saying in the next sloka, that is a continuation of the previous, 23rd. Shaknoti ihaiva yah sorum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodhad bhavang vegam sayukta sasukhi naraha. So he who is able to withstand the urge arising from passion and anger. Kama krodha udbhavam vegam. Wherever there is a desire and whenever there is an obstruction to the desire, that results in krodha, rage. These are the two very, very raw emotions within us. Actually, the scriptures have spoken of 6 types of ripu, shara ripu. This kama, krodha, lobha, moha, matsarya. Mada, moha, matsarya. Kama, krodha, lobha, mada, moha, matsarya. Means wherever there is a desire, there is obstruction to the desire, it will result in krodha, anger. And if there is no obstruction, you are allowed with the desire, it will result in moha, delusion. You will be deluded by that. You will be totally obsessed by it. And with that, the pride will come. Oh, so just see, I am wealthy. I am having this position. And that is called mada and matsarya. And when you see someone having more wealth than you, someone has become more famous than you, you start feeling envy for that person. That's matsarya. So these are the 6 ripus, all originating from desire, and the desire again originating from ignorance. So, kama, krodha, bhagangve, the one who has succeeded in withholding, in getting rid of these snares of passion and anger. Shaknoti, the one who is able. Yes, Sorum, who has transcended that. Prak Sharira, before the falling of the body. That okay, that in this life most probably I have started my journey. I thought the passions of the life are something which are the be-all and end-all of existence. And then I come to a certain point to understand that they are not leading me anywhere. So no need to despair. Don't think that my life has been wasted. I have just wasted my life. If you have realized that they are of no help, whenever you realize, now just try to mold your life based on this realization. I have to go beyond this. So even before the falling of the body, anytime you are capable of withstanding this, the urge, the tremendous tsunami which follows from the epicenter of kama and krodha. They are the epicenter from which the tsunami has arisen. The desire, the passion and the anger. So one who is able to withstand that, he alone is yuktaha. Yuktaha. Yukta is again, as its meaning is the same synonymous with yoga. One who is in association with the core of his being, which is that at eternal bliss, which is always tranquil. So one who is yukta, who is always in association with the core of his being. So the one yo yukta and sa sukhina. He alone is sukhi. He is happy. He is beyond all misery. He is the poised and the happy man. So what it is actually speaking of? This sloka is speaking of the practice. Our mind in the default state, you will find, in the default state our mind, his condition is just like a granny. And now in the Christmas holidays, the grandmother is now, all the grandchildren came to the granny. Because now the school holidays, so maybe some 5-6 grandchildren are there, they all are there. The granny is sitting in a chair, armchair, and all the grandchildren are just surrounding him. And now the granny finds, though she likes that the grandchildren, but now they can really make the life hell. They all want to grab the attention of the granny. They all want to be pampered by the granny. And that's the condition of our mind. With the ego I am sitting, you will find that when you are focused with doing some work, your mind is having one idea, that you have to finish that work. Your mind is at peace with yourself when you are focused in some work. And sometimes you think, oh, enough of this work. I am feeling a bit tired. Now let me relax. You sit down and you find where to relax. That's the time your mind gets extremely agitated. I thought that let me sit down and relax, enough of the work. And in the work your mind was busy, was focused with certain idea. Now, when you are in default mode, when your mind is relaxed, all the different mental modules, that so many innumerable desires, each desire speaks of each mental module. They are like the grandchildren. Now, they all want to be pampered. They all want to be pampered. And you will find that's the most horrible state. that now I think, let me relax, keep my mind free. Suddenly one thought comes. You somehow try to stop it, another comes. You find that the tsunami has started. So many. You're restless. You find, oh, I thought of resting. How can I rest? That's the condition of my mind. So why it happens? That as we told, that as long as that ego is there, it is connected with innumerable desires. All the desires are from that ego, from that limited sense of identity. They're all there. Like the granny sitting and like the grandchildren, they are there, all wants to be pampered. Or most probably every day you feed some birds in the morning with some grains. And now one day you think, I won't feed them anymore. Enough. They come, they are just my backyard, they are making it totally dirty. I will stop. But the moment, if you stop giving them grains for the first day, will they stop coming? No. They will continue. They have their expectation. The second day, the third day, they will go on coming. So, it's how they say that you are being sukhi. You cannot be sukhi. Yes, at the beginning, that's the state of our mind. We all have to go through that. That as we have pampered these mental modules for such a long time, the more you pamper, the more they get nourished. So they are not going to leave you immediately. But you have to be yuktaha. Be poised in yourself and just with patience have to forbear with all those pestering, with the pampering for some time till they get the feedback. If you don't feed the birds for one day, the second day they will come back. Third day they will come back. Fourth day, again they come back and you think, oh, they are coming back every day. Okay, let them give them a little today. And you give some still today. So what will happen? Again they have developed expectation. They will come again the next day. So somehow I have to make it that no. I have taken the resolution not to give them. I won't give them. And then fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, they go on coming and then they get the feedback. We are not going to be fed anymore. They start falling off. And then you are at peace with yourself. So this is the sadhana we have to go through. As we find that, we gave that example, if you go to in India, Puri, Jagannath Puri, in the sea beach, the nulis, the small fisher, those with small fishing boats, the fishermen, the poor fishermen, the small fishing boat, with that they go to the deep waters for fishing. And it's not easy, because if you have visited Puri, you will find the waves are huge, huge waves. And with a small raft to cross those waves is almost impossible. And you find what they're trying for. But these fishermen know that this wave barrier is only at a few hundred meters, maybe 100 meter, 150 meters, or maybe more, maybe 300, 400 meters. Once I cross that, I get the calm waters and then I can fish. So they all know that. And they try their best. Every day they try. Every day in the morning they go. And it's a sight to see that they go a bit far and suddenly a huge wave comes and just throws them to the sea beach. Again they try. They don't stop. Again they try. And after 3-4 attempts, they are in the deep waters. Now they are in the tranquil waters enjoying the fishing. And that's what is a sadhana. So when our mind at the very beginning state, we cannot think of that sukhi nara, yukta sukhi nara, impossible. We have to cross that barriers to be in the tranquil waters, and that's the sadhana. But once you are there, now nothing can disturb you. So in our scriptures, that's why they say that if I think sitting in the sea beach, I'm sitting there and thinking that I have to take a dip there. I have to just have a dip in the sea, but let the waves stop and then I will take a dip. Can you ever take a dip? Impossible. So he is a fool who thinks that the waves will stop and then I will take a dip. You have to take a dip. In spite of the waves, I have to take the dip. So the mind is as it is. It is I who have pampered for such a long time. I don't know for how many lives. And today I think stop. It is not going to stop. How can it stop immediately? I have pampered it. The cat which I feed every day, if I say I won't feed you, it will come and jump on me. So you have to be patient and just with that patience. You have to wait. That's why Swami used to say 3P: purity, patience, perseverance. Patience is required. You have to persevere in your practice. And then a time will come when your mental modules will get the feedback that we are not going to be fed anymore. They start falling off. And then you are at peace with yourself. Sri Ramakrishna gives a wonderful example that what's the entire spiritual journey like? At the very beginning, when we are going through the struggles, we think, oh, it is all struggle. No. He says it is just like swimming across the curve of a river. Not swimming, you are rowing. You are rowing just across the curve of a river. A river has a curve. How that curve has formed? A stream is falling in the plains. From the hills, the stream is coming down. And when it comes down, it has bifurcated. It has become two streams. They are connected. From where the water is falling, from there are two streams. Now, if you start rowing in a boat upstream from one of the legs of this U-shaped river, from one of the legs you have started rowing, at the beginning it's really exerting. You have to, with your full strength, you have to go on rowing. You are using both your hands, full strength. But the moment you reach the curve, and now you just are down the other leg, now you are in the favorable stream. So Ramakrishna is saying, now the person who is in the raft, he is just with one hand he is holding that row. He is holding just to keep the direction. Nothing else. No strength is required. And the other hand is free. With that hand he is having his hubble bubble. Relaxed. So relaxed he is. So that's the idea of Sukhi Naraha. That once you have succeeded, know it for certain, this struggle is not going to continue eternally. Once this mental modules gets the feedback that we are not going to be fed anymore, they fall off. And then the ineffable joy which is within, as your mind is no more at turmoil, it wells up from within. And then once you know that bliss, you find all other bliss is nothing compared to that. You have entered into a flow. This example sometimes now in the flow psychology they speak of flow. You find it is the entire flow psychology can be explained with this Ramakrishna story of this curve of this river. As long as you don't, what they say in the flow psychology, if you just try to highlight the main points, that whenever we take an endeavor, our skills are not up to the challenges, isn't it? The challenge is much higher. Skills are still not up to them. A time comes, you are at the point of you have just come to the curve, the point now where you are going downstream. You have came to that curve. A time comes when the skill meet the challenges and the flow ensues. In life anywhere. You have started learning some instrumental music. Seeing someone playing instrumental music, it gave you a wonderful thrill. It took you to a tremendous absorption. I thought, oh, why not I develop that art? And you find it's not easy. It doesn't give you joy when you're practicing. But you go on practicing, a time comes when you acquire the skill. Your skill have met the challenge. Now you're in such a deep absorption that even thousands of people are there, most probably have become an accomplished instrument player, setarist. There's a huge audience sitting, but you're oblivious of the surrounding. Know it for certain, if a musician is aware of the audience, he can never play well. He or she has to be so passionate to just dive deep into his form of music or art. He forgets everything, and he forgets his surrounding. He forgets that he's tired. For hours he can go on playing. His mind is so focused that all other things has fallen off. He's totally absorbed in the thing which he is doing. And from that, the bliss ensues. And that type of bliss has no time factor. See, when you are enjoying a delicacy, after the first serve, you're still not satisfied. You have the second serve, and then another third serve, it's over. From the morning, the mothers are cooking, and within half an hour, we finish it off. Everything is over. From the morning, maybe 5-6 hours you have taken, to enjoy it, not even half an hour. It's over, done. And then you are satiated. What will you do with yourself now? You start getting bored. Oh, now it's over. But this type of happiness, that when you, with your endeavor, you develop some skill to meet the challenge and then you enter a state of flow, it has as if no ending. You become, in the scriptures they say, like videha. Though you're in the body, still you feel as if you're not in the body. Why? Because all the things which makes us feel that I am in the body, my hunger, my thirst, my tiredness, all these things makes me feel I am within the body. They have gone. My focus is so intense that the mind doesn't have the capability to take care of all these biological alarms, like the hunger, thirst. It has because it is totally focused on the thing I am doing. And then you are as if videha. Though you're in the body, you have sense that as if you're beyond the body. And that takes you to the state of ananda, bliss. Because you are always carrying the backpack in the form of this concerns, distress. For the time being, it has fallen off. Nothing is there. You are feeling light. No concerns. No, because you're totally focused in that. And then you enjoy the real bliss. The bliss which we are never enjoyed. We are happy with all the small pleasures of life, thinking that to be the be-all and end-all of existence. Once you get that bliss, automatically this will fall off. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, once you have tasted the sugar candy, will you ever go for this molasses? No more. That's his idea is the sugar candy means michri sharbat. That is something superior. Till you have not tasted that, you may go for the molasses. But once you have tasted that, this falls off naturally. So you go for the higher taste, this falls off. And that's the incessant bliss which Bhagavan Krishna is speaking of here. The one who is yukta, he is in that eternal bliss. One for whom all the so-called, the passions and the rage has fallen off. The 24th verse, what it is saying? The same idea. Yo anta sukha, antararama, whose all sukha, pleasures are within. Anta sukha, antararama, arama, relaxation is within. Yo anta sukha antararamas tathantara jyotirevacha, who finds the effulgence within. Antara jyotirevacha. Sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto dhigacchati. Wow. So that's such an yogi is established in Brahmana. Is nirvana. The word nirvana means extinguished. In the Buddha the word. Your idea of this limited individuality has got extinguished. It doesn't mean nothingness. It's something has extinguished. What has extinguished? The idea of this limited individuality has extinguished. To at last establish you in the fact that you are the Brahman. Brahma nirvanam gacchati. This Brahma bhuto dhigacchati. You become one with Brahman. So that's the wonderful idea. So the one who finds all the bliss within, relaxation within. So in the Kathopanishad there's a wonderful sloka. That the sloka is Paranchikhani Vyatrinat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Na Antaratman Kaschid Dhira Pratyagatman Aikshat Avritta Chakshu Amritatvam Ichhat. That the Lord has inflicted our senses in such a way. He has inflicted our senses in such a way that it always look outward, not within. In Sanskrit, these two words are there: parak, pratyak. Parak is outward, pratyak within. The senses are always moving outside. You have endured it in such a way, it doesn't turn inward. Kaschid dhira. The real intelligent ones are the dhira, the calm, equipoised. They have learned the art of diving within to realize the amritattva, the real immortal joy which is within. So Katschid Dhira Pratyak Atman. Parak is the one who is looking outside, Pratyak, the one is within, looking within. Kaschid Dhira Pratyak Atman Aikshat, desiring the one who is within, Avritta Chakshu. He stops his Sangsparshaja Bhoka, Avritta Chakshu, his interaction with the world. And then he's diving within. As we told, if you see the architecture of the temples in India, the Garbhagriha, the temple actually is something which represents the human body. Sorry. The AC is on, it gets dried. So, the body, this human body is represented, the temple represents the human body. So our human body has 9 gates, they say. Navadvare pure dehi. What are the 9 gates? There's 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nose, mouth, 7, the organ of evacuation and the organ of procreation. So these are the 9 gates. Within that, the Paramatman is sitting in your heart. Navadvare pure dehi. Dehi is sitting in your heart. Why we are not aware of it? Because these are all open. There is another gate in the heart. As long as these gates are open, the gate in your heart is closed. It never opens. It's just like a jail. In a jail, if you go to a jail, there are 2 gates. There are 2 gates. Sorry. The outer gate and the inner gate. The 2 never opens together. The 2 never opens together. No, it's okay. The 2 never opens together, or the switch is inside. It's okay, and I will manage it, no problem. So, why that, that anyone may abscond, just run away. So, if you have to enter the jail, the one who is standing, you have to first go and stand outside the outer door. The security guard will come. We used to go to the jail in India, because sometimes that they used to ask us to take some satsang there for the inmates in Medinipur. So, I visited so many times, and that was interesting. So the security will come, and first he will ensure the inner gate is locked. He will lock that inner gate, and then the outer gate he will open. And now you enter between the 2 gates. First he will ensure the outer gate is locked. He will lock it, and then he will open the inner gate, so that no one gets the chance to run away anywhere else. So then this idea came to my mind. It's just same as the scripture is speaking. As long as these 9 gates, outside gates are open, there's a gate in the heart that never opens. You have to close the avritta chakshu. Sangsparshaja bhoga has to stop. And then only the inner gate is going to open, not before that. In the shrine you will find the same thing. In the Indian temples, very interesting, that you will say the Garbhagriha has so many doors. In traditional temples, you will find 9 doors. Even in Belumad, there are 9 doors. And when some offering has to be done, the doors are closed first. Because you cannot have the communion with the divine with the external doors open. Close the doors and then the offering. So this represents the human body. So even the rituals, behind the rituals, a very high idea is there, that this is the thing which we have to implement in our life. And that's the thing which has been spoken of here, that yo anta sukha antararama, the one who is at peace with himself, who is always finding peace within, anta sukha, anta arama, relaxation within. How that antarama has came? Antar jyoti, whose inner heart chamber has opened. The effulgence within is now palpably visible. So, how is it possible? Only that in the previous sloka they have spoken of. All the outer gates, the sangsparshaja bhoga has stopped, and then you enjoy the bliss which is within. So see, he alone, such a person alone, knows the what real bliss is, and he has become as if one with Brahman. Because this is possible only when you know your real nature, which is beyond this idea of limited individuality. The local consciousness has become non-local. It has got beyond the barriers of this idea of body, mind, senses. The idea that you are a local consciousness is a disease. That's why Shankaracharya is saying that this is the idea that I am this limited being is bhava vyadhi. It is the source of all our disease. The real disease is there. What's the idea of disease? When we say I'm diseased, when the ease has gone, when the ease goes. Now when I am healthy, my life as if is throbbing through the entire body. I'm not aware of any particular part of the body, isn't it? You see a child bubbling. Even if while having games, it has got hurt somewhere. It's not aware. The mother shows, oh, where you got that hurt? He doesn't know. He's full of life, bubbling. He's not aware of any particular part of body. As we start growing old, and then all the disease starts coming. What's the disease? Oh, my knees are paining. Oh, there's uric acid. The knees are paining. The toe is paining. The knees are paining. Or I have a heartache. I have a stomach ache. I have a headache. So what has happened? The awareness which was supposed to permeate your entire body is now getting localized. To your knee, to your toe, to your heart, to your brain is getting localized. So the non-local consciousness, the Brahma, the word Brahma came from Brih Dhatu, that which is big, that which is infinite, that which is ineffable, beyond boundaries, beyond frontiers. So that thing, when it gets localized in this body-mind complex, that's the cause of all the dis-ease. Your ease has gone. That's the basic, that's the bhava vyadhi. That's the source of all the vyadhi. So here, when he's saying that when you become antasukha, your so-called, your ego has fallen off. The ego remains as long as you're chasing after the desires. These desires are all linked with this ego. This has fallen off. Your effulgence, the inner effulgence, that has shined forth. And immediately you realize that ego boundaries are falling off. You are becoming one with that absolute reality. Yeah, that's all, the boundaries has fallen off. And what are the signs that results from it? That the one who gets into that type of realization, that will be again spoken of in the 25th and in the 26th verse, which we will take up again in the next class. With this, we stop our discussion. So this is the last class before the break. We will again meet in February for the Gita class. This for the month of January, we will be not having any class because this is the time many are going out. Every year we keep this interval for this time, and most probably first Sunday of April we will have Swami Vivekananda's birthday. So that day we will have celebration. You will get the notice, and from the second Sunday our Gita class will again start. So with this we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.